Into the last 8, of course, and the possible quarterfinal opponents are as follows: Benfica, AC Milan, Marseille, West Ham, Bayer Leverkusen, Roma and Atalanta. Now, odds are we might be off to Italy there, but I guess we're going to talk about who we fancy. Who would you... Speak about the calibre of opponent. We all kind of expected this. I remember we did the last draw, obviously, when we drew Sparta, and we kind of both said, like, no matter what happens here, barring some shocks, and listen, Karabag nearly upset the apple cart with Bayer Leverkusen, it feels like the next round, this round coming, is going to be 8 high-quality teams, and that's kind of what we've got, I think it's fair to say. Brighton maybe could have been included in that, but yeah, that's a very good set of sides. How are we feeling?
Fine, really. Like I say, you fancy Liverpool to beat all of them, really. Leverkusen would be the toughest. Obviously, they haven't lost all season, so therefore there's obviously something there. And we saw tonight they're on the cusp of going out and score 2 goals in injury time and get themselves through. But there's no fear for Liverpool in terms of the opponent. I don't particularly think it would be great for the away fans to go to Rome.
No.
If I'm honest with you, again, we saw there was
Marseille
issues.
Likewise.
Marseille can be similar on that as well. But in terms of football, I think it would be all right. You know, the all-English thing with West Ham would be interesting. I still back with over 2 legs to beat West Ham.
Yep.
Milan, yeah. I mean, I think Benfica, for me, would be the one I'd probably choose. Yeah. But listen, Liverpool are the best team in the competition. There's a couple of teams there who I think are, you know, Champions League standards. Liverpool are one of them. Bayer Leverkusen one of the others. The others you're splitting hairs on a few. So no fear, but yeah, if I could hand pick one, I think for all the reasons we've mentioned, I'd probably go Benfica.
Yeah, because there are different factors in this, as obviously you mentioned, aren't there? There's the footballing side of thing, which ultimately is the most important, but then you've got to think about like the hostility of the away ground as well, because that can be a factor, but also the travelling.
You know, they've changed it this year a little bit. Very recently, but like Liverpool's away form in Europe for a couple of seasons hasn't been good.
No, it was grim.
You know, hostile,
certainly in Italy, by the way.
Even this year.
No, it's true. Yeah,
you know, even in I know they beat Lask, but they weren't great.
It was a bit tricky.
And then they lost the other 2, and then they battered Prague. So, you know, hostile environments like Rome, like Marseille, like Leverkusen, for example, where their fans are massively up for it. Benfica are the same, by the way, they can all be tough places, but. So that is something to be wary of. I don't think we're going to cakewalk the next ones through, like we just did to Prague.
We're looking 11-2 against one of these.
What I would say, and I mean this with all due respect, Benfica just struggled against Rangers, and we were bad last year and wiped the floor with Rangers. Now, I know Rangers are in a better shape now than they were 12 months ago. You know, they're fighting for the title in Scotland.
But as are we, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point. Yeah. So we were a better team than that. So, look, my guess is I think Benfica would be the one. But yeah, what are your thoughts? Who would you choose?
I'm the same. I'm Benfica, and I actually came into tonight as a whole really thinking I want the winner of Benfica Rangers for exactly the reason you just mentioned, because we absolutely obliterated Rangers last season and we were nowhere near at it. So you're right. You know, under is a Clement, their manager up there now, they're in a much better position than they were then. But what we did to them was a little bit cruel. It's very similar, it's very reminiscent of what we did to Sparta Prague, to be honest with you. There was just levels to it. So I felt like if they had managed to hold and score twice in Portugal against Benfica, like Benfica can't be up to that much, I think it's fair to say. So yeah, I was in on that winner anyway, and that hasn't really changed. Looking at the possible 7, I would definitely be Benfica. In terms of, I guess it's a bit of a no-brainer in terms of the least favourite. I mean, it's Bayer Leverkusen. I mean, in terms of away days, Leverkusen's a belter, but in terms of difficulty, I think I'd like to avoid them for as long as possible.
I don't know, you know, because I think I'd rather play them over 2 legs than 1.
Okay.
I'd rather have them in a quarter or a semi.
Somebody else knocked them out, to be honest.
Well, yeah, but I don't know. Yeah, maybe, I don't know. Like, I think I'd rather have Bayer Leverkusen in home and away and get them at Anfield and just go into Dublin. I actually would say Roma is the one I would least like.
Okay.
For loads of different reasons. I think they're half decent, but also I think it's not a great away, and there's history with the there's a lot of baggage there, so I probably wouldn't want Rome. But you are right. If it's Leverkusen and the Alonso storyline and everything that goes with it, it could be quite exhausting. And like I say, nobody's beat them.
No.
So if, you know, it would be tough. I'd still back us.
Yeah.
Especially at Anfield. I mean, you know, so people who don't lose, Liverpool don't lose at Anfield. But that would be a tough game, you're right. An interesting one would be the all-English tie. That is still available, obviously. I know Brighton go out, but West Ham is still there. Comfortably win today. again, wouldn't be easy. But in Europe, over 2 legs, you'd back Liverpool. Obviously, they've beaten West Ham twice this season, right in saying, haven't they?
Demolished them in the cup as well, didn't we? Absolutely battered them in the Carabao place. 5-1, was it?
So you'd back us over them again. Yeah. So that could be an interesting one.
There's just added jeopardy to any all Premier League European tie. I always find I don't like it. I was the same with Spurs. I was the same when we played Man City that time in the Champions League on the route to it as well. It's just there's something not nice about playing Premier League opposition. I'm not quite sure what it is.
Well, it's just the same, isn't it? It's a bit of a change, isn't it? Like a bit of change.
Yeah, I don't know if it's bragging rights maybe, but I don't know loads of West Ham fans obviously, so it's not necessarily a factor within this. But yeah, I'd just rather avoid it if possible. And again, I'll come back to it. I'll be honest with you, Benfica is so clear as my preference. Looking at that, it's crazy. You know, it's like Benfica and then the rest. But not really any of them do I necessarily fancy. But to come to sort of round it off then, like you touched on it right at the top of this conversation, like for all the evidence and certainly what we've seen tonight and based on the way Liverpool are at right now, we mentioned players coming back and all that sort of positive stuff, the positive vibes in and around Liverpool right now, like there's nothing to fear within all this. Liverpool are rightly favoured for this. If
we were in the Champions League, I'd back us.
Yeah.
You know, we're a team who are good enough this season to win the Champions League, just not in it, and that's their own fault. Like, you know, for how last season went for a lot of different reasons. This Liverpool side, I was looking at the Champions League, you know, the last 8 in that, and we're as good as we're as good as pretty much all of them. We're seeing that in the Premier League this season, how tight it is at the top. So yeah, there's no fear there. We'll find out tomorrow what the path is to the final. If I'm on, like I say, bring it on. It's like I say, the Italy thing is a thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, listen, we're the best team in this competition. And listen, this is not big head bragging. Liverpool are the best. No, it's not. Like, you know, look at in all statistics, it doesn't Leverkusen. Now Leverkusen are very close to us in terms of look what they're doing. They're going to be the German champions. They are going to win that league. We're not guaranteed anything yet. So, but I'd still back us, but they're close. But other than that, like I say, if Liverpool put their best 11 out over 2 legs, I'd fancy anyone. The factor of Marseille and Rome is off the field. The West Ham thing, like you said, maybe you want to avoid that. Atalanta would be a fun one as well. We haven't really touched upon them. They're not having
played them in the past, haven't we, in Champions League a few years ago.
They're not having the greatest of seasons already.
They'd probably be my second preference, and there's a few reasons. There's not a stigma attached to them fan base wise, as far as I'm aware anyway. I've not known them get involved in anything particularly nasty. I know they've not been sort of at the Europeans top table for many years, if truth be told, but also they're very free scoring, but they concede a lot of chances as well, and that feels like it suits us down to the ground. And in terms of like European pedigree, there's a little bit in amongst this, but nothing even close to Liverpool's, obviously. I mentioned earlier on the calibre opponents definitely going to go up ever so slightly, but my sort of, and you're right, in terms of Liverpool should rightly go in fully confident and fully favours whoever we get next. But my sort of rationale behind wanting the easiest possible draw is a no-brainer, obviously, but it's kind of what it means for the other competitions and the Premier League and stuff like that. You don't want to impact one thing because you've got a real slugfest against one of these, you know what I mean, AC Milan or someone like that. So, but yeah, ultimately, yeah, things are good, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm right saying there's a Fulham game wedged in between. So we had difficulties with Fulham. So you are right. Leverkusen over 2 legs would definitely would take an impact on your Premier League form. So I do take your point there. I think it's a good one. We'll see who we get, but we've only got potentially a maximum of 2 home games, Anfield home games, European games. Sorry, with Jurgen Klopp. So hopefully we get both of them. 2 raucous occasions and get to the final. Because this season is lined up to be really, really special, you know. And I know it's the last 16, and you know, Prague aren't amazing. Don't get me wrong, Sparta Prague, but like that's 11-2. I mean, you know what I mean? There's getting through, and there's getting through. Like Marseille battered Villarreal 4-0, and today it was 3-0 to Villarreal at one point. You know, we saw like a lot of those ties were relatively close at some point. Yeah. You know, even West Ham lost the first game 1-0. At very, very few points was this tie on the scoreboard ever close. The gulfing clash between Liverpool and Prague today was huge. And again, because we're a Champions League worthy team, we're just not in it. So we should be rightly favourites this competition.
Yeah, well, look what Leverkusen have just struggled, and credit to them for turning it around very, very late on, right to the death there. But you're right, that should have been inferior, similar golfing class what we've just shown to Sparta Prague. But you don't win European knockout games 11-2 an aggregate. That isn't normal, regardless of where the opposition are from, regardless of where you're at. That doesn't happen, and what we've just done there is very much out of the ordinary. So yeah, I take your point entirely. And yeah, it's going to be really interesting. There's loads of interesting potential ties. There's loads of narratives, of course, with Leverkusen and Alonso and all that stuff. But yeah, we'll find out together tomorrow afternoon.
Can't wait. Yeah, we're going to be live on YouTube, by the way. Just 12 o'clock, me, Dan, and the legend Chris Pajak, Mr. European Draw himself.
Let's do it. And Fake Ranieri will be there. And possibly John O'Shea. Will it be him again, or will he be swapped out? He's Ireland manager now, isn't he? Maybe. I think
he might be busy. Yeah, he's busy.
Yeah.
I hope he hasn't got that Mr. Pringles moustache on his head stuff. I mean, I can't talk about haircuts because, obvious reasons, but he wasn't at his best, was he, John, on the last draw? No.